Thank you, Kalkadan. Thank you, Bishop Buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning. Usually, the columnist's first rule, and that's how I make my living as a columnist for the Washington Post, is simplify, then exaggerate. I can tell you've all read examples of this genre. But this morning I want to talk honestly, no simplification, no exaggeration, about the Washington Cathedral, which is a subject on which I am, to put it bluntly, a believer. Let me begin by describing some of the other times I've stood right here in the nave or nearby. I came to St. Albans as a boy of 12. In 1962. We had chapel every morning in those days, and the experience was so powerful that I decided in the first weeks that I wanted to be confirmed as an Episcopalian, and was here in this space by Bishop Creighton. One of my early papers for sacred studies, which was a required course back then, I'm looking at Vance Wilson and wondering if it's still required, was about secret passageways in the cathedral. Up here above us in the vaulting and the rafters. And I really worked hard as a 13-year-old to make it sound like it was haunted by Charles Laughton in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, that if you turned a corner upstairs, who knew what you might encounter. I graduated on these steps, covered over by a wooden platform this morning in 1968 in my blue blazer and white duck trousers. The day before my graduation, on Prize Day, I had given an address across the road in the Bishop's Garden, which is still a part of the St. Albans tradition. The night of my graduation, I won't tell you where I was, except to say that I got home safely. I was married 100 yards from here in the little sanctuary. My 3 daughters were baptized underneath this space in the Bethlehem Chapel. I have come here to weddings and funerals, for days of national celebration and national mourning. In this space in the nave, I moderated a few years ago an interfaith dialogue with more than 20 priests and imams, each of whom insisted on speaking separately. As the dean at that time of the cathedral, Samuel Lloyd, said to me when I walked off this stage when the program was over, "David, that was a high degree of difficulty dive." Last October, I spoke from the lectern as one of the eulogists at the funeral of my beloved boss, Ben Bradley. I won't repeat what I said that day, but suffice it to say that I quoted a passage from one of Ben's letters using a word that I suspect has never been uttered before in this house of prayer, or is likely to be uttered again. This was the place where Ben, with all of his joie de vivre, wanted for his funeral, as did my other beloved boss, Catherine Graham, our late publisher, who had a funeral here that was, for all of us, unforgettable. Last month, I was here for the cathedral's moving commemoration of the Armenian genocide, and I had the feeling of 1 million lost souls rising with the music and the prayer toward the vaulted ceilings. It was really an evening of immense power. And perhaps most important for me, as Kalkadan said in her introduction, I have been on this platform in the nave many times since 2008 to celebrate the Paul and Nancy Ignatius program, named in honor of my parents, which annually discusses issues of national and international affairs that matter to people of faith. Let me say a word to this audience about this program, because it embodies what the Cathedral means for me, and I hope by extension in 100 different ways could mean for all of you. This annual event was endowed by my family and friends to honor my parents, who at 94 and 89 are regular members of Dean Gary Hall's Sunday parish. We have invited to this program leaders from America and around the world, famous names that I won't go through, and we have filled this nave with more than 1,000 people each program for hours of powerful discussion. Speakers accept this invitation because it is the Cathedral. There really is no other place like it in the country. They know that when they speak here, it's special and that people will listen. That's what I came here to say this morning. The Washington National Cathedral is a unique gathering place. It is a sacred place where the worship traditions that many of us treasure as Episcopalians are celebrated with unique power. And it is also a national institution. I don't want to say a secular institution because it never really is that. But it is a national institution where America gathers in its most important times. Sustaining this institution that serves the country and the world may feel like a burden sometimes, but it's one that should make us feel lucky and proud that we can play a role in keeping this place strong. So that's my keynote message. The Cathedral has been an important part of my life for more than 50 years, and it is an honor, truly an honor, to speak to you about it and to ask your support in all the Cathedral's good works in every way that's possible. Thank you.